Morning, everyone. It's always nice to be the first speaker out of, the next 100 that are going to come on stage. So I'd like to talk to you about Verivox. Marco gave me the brief. Talk about where do you think your company is going to be within the next 5 years? Now you say 5 years, who in this business knows where we're going to be in 5 years? Well, we believe we actually do know where we're going to be in 5 years because we've got a 5-year plan that we've been executing on. It's been rolling, and we've managed to perform that way. So overall, let me give you a little bit of background about what Verivox is. Verivox was founded in 1998. Last year we did about a tad over 100 million in revenues. The most significant part of what we've done is we've achieved to save the consumer in Germany and in Switzerland about 1.6 billion euros so far. So it's a leading price comparison portal. We have one mission. Our mission is to become Europe's leading, most trustworthy comparison portal which assists consumers and companies to save time, money, and resources. Very simple proposition. How have we done in terms of achieving that over the last years? We had a Kegger of a little bit over 10% between 2007 and 2012. And since 2012, we were able to initiate a step change. And since 2012, our Kegger is 29.4, so almost 30%. And we're quite happy with that development. We're on track to continue on this road. Now, when we look at a 5-year plan, it obviously has a lot to do with the market that you're in. And if we only look at the German market, which is almost nascent in comparison to the UK market, which is a lot more mature and has at least 2 to 3, maybe even 4 years ahead of us, we tried to sort of do the comparison between the two markets and looked at how much commissions are actually being paid to online comparison portals on a per household basis. And then you see that in the UK, it's about 2.3 times more than what it is in Germany. And there is no reason for that difference to exist because the benefits are one and the same to both companies or to both countries. And that signifies that we are able to almost triple in terms of value for the market going forward. Now, what is the growth reasons for OCPs? Whilst initially in the sort of the first step, it was always about providing technical comparisons between tariffs, making complex markets easy to understand for the consumer. The second stage was a lot more service-driven, that we put quality criteria into the comparison. So if you have something, a provider in energy or in telecommunications or an insurance company, if you have a tariff, is it actually cheap? Yes, it may be cheap, but is it worthwhile? Is it good quality? So we added all those different elements into it. But what we're going to now is actually going to be a consumer-driven environment. The consumer is ultimately going to be in charge of what it is that he wants to see, of what it is that he wants to have, and he wants to be in full control of everything that happens to him and his data. So ultimately, it's all going to be based around trust. And Verivox has been at the forefront of leading that whole trust program. We're lobbying in the EU, making sure that, for the EU-wide regulations for OCPs, that the right trust elements are going to be put into place, that we're helping the consumer to find the right things for him and rule out the bad things for him. So we're working on that. And ultimately, we continue to advocate consumer protection much more than politicians will in the German and Swiss marketplace. So our target is 100% customer centricity. Many of us will say that for our companies. But it's really about trustworthy and reliable. It's the only currency that we really have is trust. And if trust is the only currency you have, as soon as you break it once, it's gone. And you essentially kill the valuation of the company. Right? We have to be a neutral expert. And customer sovereignty is the ultimate new sort of development in the OCP space that we all have to look after. And I'll give you an example. Why is it that many people distrust, for whatever reason, Facebook? If they would have a button on their site that would say, delete all my data, And you can click on there, and everything about you, entire history, everything about you is gone. Why don't they have that? If they were to have that, do you think that the people who are currently not on Facebook would actually go ahead and go on Facebook? So the question, begs itself, why is it that people don't have, or companies do not have, delete all my data? Because we want to own you as a customer? We want to own you as a consumer? We want to take your consumer rights away? Does that make sense? We don't believe it makes sense. So we're working on different ways of creating that kind of environment where you as a consumer come onto our website, you decide what you want to do, you decide what happens to your data, you're in complete control. Nobody does that today. And you must ask yourself, why is that? Is it because we don't believe, we don't trust the consumer, or we're spending so and so much customer acquisition cost per consumer, and we don't want to let them go? Is it better we keep them as a dead body in our data warehouse? So, we're trying to push and move forward in that direction. I think that's going to be the third generation of online comparison portals, and that's what's going to get us to 2021, where, if the right picture comes up, there it is. In 5 years' time, Verivox will be that, a unicorn. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marco.